Thank you. Good day, all participants. I am Vladimir Kalatusha, National Aviation University, Ukraine. My presentation is named Professional Competencies Formation of the Aviation Operators as a response to changes in air transport system. The goal of the presentation is formation of new competencies by aviation operators, I mean future air traffic controllers and pilots, as a response to emerging threats to the air transport system. The increasing technological and organizational complexity of the air transport system underscores the necessity for the development and enhancement of professional training for aviation personnel, particularly within the constraints of time and resources. On the other hand, the emergence of new technological threats that have a negative impact of aviation activities require the formation of new knowledge, new skills, new competencies for aviation operators as a response for these threats. One of the threats is so-called GPS spoofing, when navigation information about the position of aircraft is significantly destroyed. At present time, it is very, very big problems for civil aviation. What will be with aircraft in case of jamming or spoofing? Incoherence in navigation position, abnormal differences between ground speed and true air speed, time shift, problems with initial navigation systems, and so on. So aircraft will have wrong information about its positions. And for aviation, it is very big problems. As you can see, distribution by flight phases of GPS signal failure is approximately 28% during landing phase. Landing phase, it is very important for pilots and air traffic controllers. A lot of information during descending, a lot of aircraft in the vicinity of aerodrome, and walking. And air traffic controllers and pilots have problems with working environment, especially when aircraft is landed on unknown aerodrome. So, GPS spoofing case was chosen as an example of formation of new competencies as a response to new threats for air transport system. And what method we are proposed? Method of situation-based training was chosen as a mechanism for formation of new competencies. Why this method? The research conducted among students, I mean future air traffic controllers and pilots, in National Aviation University, and processing of obtained results showed both a preference for situation-based method and the interest in joint professional training for at least 2 semesters. So, future air traffic controllers and pilots prefer receiving educational material under supervision of a teacher instructor, transforming it into practical actions, simulation training, as a part of group or team. The transition from theory to effective practical actions has the highest preference among future air traffic controllers and pilots. And present time, we have very paradoxical situations. Future pilots and air traffic controller must work as a single team, pilot plus air traffic controller. But at present time, they study separately, fully separately. So, future air traffic controllers and pilots, suppose they have joint training as it means during 2 semesters as a single team. And so the method of situation-based training in unified educational environment using the situation GPS failure. So we have situation-based schedule. Of course, taking into account adaptation of training material to the professional situation, the students' preferred individual learning styles, the time allocation can and will be vary. The method of situation-based training consists of a real flight situation is simulated in which ab initio future air traffic control pilots must achieve the required competence under the supervising control of the teacher or instructor. Virtual modeling of the situation GPS failure. In the process of descending for aerodrome Kyiv Borispol, the crew reported GPS failure and requested navigation assistance from air traffic controller, radar vectoring from the approach unit to make a landing approach. To have a final decision about the aerodrome landing, the crew requested and received meteorological conditions, aeronautical informations, and so on of the runways at aerodromes of Odessa, Kharkov, Dnipro, and Lviv aerodromes. For choosing the most suitable options for completing the flight in terms of minimizing negative consequences, reduction risk, the metrics of possible decision metrics are calculated. Metrics for possible decision from the pilot's point of view, from the ATCA's point of view, and collaborative decision metrics using WALT criterion and Gurev's criterion. And for the final CDM, collaborative decision making, option B1, Kyiv Borispol Aerodrome, was chosen as the most optimal in terms of understanding and minimizing of subjectivity in the context of limited and uncertain information. Based on the results of virtual modeling using the situation-oriented method, table below shows the new competencies formed and the elements that the ATCA pilots team has to demonstrate and which, in accordance with the established performance criteria, will be used to make a ready or not ready conclusion regarding activities in conditions of GPS signal failure during the descent and landing stage. So we have new competence for ATCA, and elements of competence will be checked by instructor. And so we have new competence for pilot and element of competence for pilot. As you can see, we have a lot of common features between ATCAs and pilots competencies. But I say again, at present time, future ATCAs and pilots are studied separately. So we proposed joint training future aviation operators, pilots and controllers during 2 semesters in joint education environment. Conclusion and future work. Future research will be focused on the adoption of situation-based training methods to the individual learning style of future air traffic controllers and pilots. Because air traffic controllers and pilots, it is very, very important specialist in aviation system. If a competent team work, negative consequences as a rule can be avoided. Literature, and as a conclusion again, it is practically impossible for every real flight or air traffic controller shift to proceed perfectly. But this doesn't mean the final result of the ATCA pilot team cannot be safe. Thank you for your attention.